Hello and welcome. I would like to give you a quick tour of the Open eSignForms open source electronic contracting platform. The idea behind Open eSignForms is that people need to be able to build documents. They need to be able to route them not only among employees within a company for a business process, but they usually have to send them outside the company in order to get electronic signatures. Now there are a lot of ways to do this, either by integrating it right into your website, where you would send contracts to people, etc. We'll first click under Start Transaction, and I'm just going to do an example transaction of sending out a contract. So I've actually already have a contract here in Word, so I'm going to copy this paste because I'm going to put that right inside my document. So I'm going to go ahead and send this to myself. And I can just now go into this Word area, paste in that contract as Word. So it does a pretty nice job of keeping the format. Furthermore, there's a little area where I can attach files. So I'm going to go ahead and put a picture of that just to show how this works. But you basically select the file and upload it. Now you can add as many as you want. So let's say I want to show both of them. I can put them both in. Maybe I don't really want the first one, so I can go ahead and remove that. Click to review, and this is the document as it's going to go out. So if there's anything wrong with it, I'm going to go back and make some more changes to it, or I'm going to submit it. Now when I do submit it, it's going to then go to the next step. And so if we were to go look inside of our reports for today and take a quick look at this transaction, we'll see that I've completed the step. The recipient's been activated. Here's his address, but hasn't really done anything yet. So we're going to next go check in my inbox. Oh, my message is already there. So this was the email. You can actually configure this email to have any kind of text you want, and it includes this custom link, which takes me as the recipient to that very document that I sent. Now first, this is what's called a package, and it has the electronic signature disclosures. And again, you can fully customize this, and then it lists all the documents in the package for them. In this case, there's only just the one. So now they're going to see, and here's that actual contract that I pasted in there. And then they can go ahead and sign. And then we're going to continue. Now, when we scroll down, you're going to see that we actually have the stylized signature in place, along with an electronic signature process record that's appended at the end. And as each person signs, this record will get a little bit bigger. And so we have a tracking of IP addresses, actual time stamps. So I can go ahead and submit that. And I've now completed and signed that document. So when we go back to our report, I can now bring it up and you'll see it's actually completed. And so we can now see, okay, both steps are completed. Now there are a lot of nice things in an electronic process record system. A couple of things are important. One is an activity log. You want to know exactly what happened at what step, from when it was started until it was completed by each of the parties, along with all the IP addresses, date, times, and so forth that tell you what was going along. I also, at each step, we take a snapshot, and a snapshot is basically the document at the point where we were in the review mode. We capture that exact HTML, and that will become digitally signed. We use 4096-bit RSA public-private key pairs, along with an SHA 512 hash, and these are extremely powerful. I don't think there's anybody else in our industry that's using these this level of encryption yet. But I can come in at step 1 and see exactly what the file looked like at that stage. So you'll see there's no signatures yet. But if I look at that same snapshot from what the recipient was done, you'll see they have their signature on there along with the process record. Another nice aspect is you have all of your data is always accessible. And so, for example, here was the recipient's signature, the name I typed, who the email was sent to, and all of this is always available to you, so you can get access to your data. One other nice thing about this is all of this data is encrypted using 256-bit AES while stored on disk. If we look at the snapshots, this is actually the combination of both the document and the data. And then we have the XML digital signature. So we're using industry standard digital signatures. So we can tell you exactly what the document looked like as well as what the data looked like at the time, each step along the way. Before I go into the programming, I'm just going to show you some little other pieces. One is, obviously you have your users, and so you can configure your users, reset passwords and things like this. Furthermore, we can group users, so we can take a look at a group and say, well, who are the members of this group? We can remove them if we needed to, things of this nature. We can also show who is currently logged in. So you'll see I'm logged in as well as one of our partners who's working now. Next, we have a deployment page. This allows you to set up some custom things, so date, time formats, time zones, information like how long should sessions run, how long do we keep the activity logs, things of this nature. There's also a statistics page. This will give you all the versions of the technology that are underpinning it, as well as things like how much memory you have left. The other thing is we have a to-do list. To-do allows for basically users in the system, when they log in, they can see any kind of transaction that's queued up for them. So if you're a countersigner or an approver, things that are waiting for you to do work will appear inside of this list. Programming is made up of something called libraries, and generally you will have one library for your company. Sometimes there are instances where people run what we call multi-company deployments, and so they become quite powerful in the sense that you can put all of your documents in one library and then put all of your branding information into the individual libraries without having to reconfigure all those documents. And so that, say, an I-9 can go out as 6 different companies in your single deployment, each carrying different contact information, carrying a different logo. If there's different approvers for the different companies, they can be grouped that same way. So we'll just go ahead and take a look at my library just for grins, and we'll show you some of the neat features. In the documents, you have a list of all the documents you can work on. You basically have 2 types of documents. You have test documents, the things that you're working on now, but that aren't in production, and then you have production documents. And so when you're working on things, you'll be in test mode, and that keeps that from interfering with any production transactions. And when you're ready, you can promote it right into production. When I open up the page editor, we basically get, this is again the editor view, and you can see this is actually the document that I laid out. So even from a source perspective, you can see that it's a very straightforward and simple document, but yet it was quite powerful. For example, this little word attachments, if we come over to the field type and look at it, you'll see that it's a file upload type, and so that allowed for all of that file browser upload, remove, all of that comes just automatically. You can see that we have a whole bunch of types, checkboxes, credit cards, even the HTML editor itself. You can put phone numbers, all of these kinds of things with special validations will appear inside there. Next, you can define who are the parties to a document. So in this case, we had a sender and a recipient. The sender was first, and they filled out these fields, but they didn't fill out the signature fields. The recipient, on the other hand, only does the signature fields. One nice thing is that when you're ready and you're building out things and you want to see how they're working, you can go ahead and click test, and it'll bring up that document in that look so that you can get a feel for, how is it really working and things like this before you've actually packaged it up. Furthermore, you can also pick and see what it looks like as either of the parties that you've defined. So now you'll see in this case, now I just have the signature field over, and so it is different for the recipient than it is for the sender. If I come down in, I can define different things. So drop-down lists are basically select boxes. So if I wanted one where I could either pick red, yellow, or blue, and it would have these values, I could use a drop-down called sample and put that right into my my document. In fact, why don't we just do that real quick just to kind of show you what that looks like. So I might have, I might say color, and I'm going to go ahead and say that the sender normally would get this. So I'm going to save it, and I come over to the field, okay, it starts off general, which just means really kind of any kind of but what I'm going to do is I'm saying now I want it to be a drop-down list, and I'm going to use my sample that I just did, and I'm going to say that I want only the label to appear, not the letters. So when I do this and I now test, you'll see I actually have a color drop-down list. We can also configure all of our emails. So the emails that are sent out you basically can define the text version as well as the HTML version. Then there are certain key words. So we can do property substitution, taking data out of the documents themselves. We can find properties, which I'll describe next. And then wherever the unique link goes, you just put in link, and then that's where that unique code will go. That will let people pick it up. You can go into your images and upload new images and things like that you're going to make reference to. Property sets are a way to externalize information. So if you want to, for example, put company name or addresses or phone numbers, things that change from time to time, but maybe you don't want to have them put right in the document, or you use them in multiple places, it allows you to then reference using that property syntax that we saw to have that field, that sort of thing appear in there. You also can define parties. Now generally you only define parties in documents, but sometimes you have what we call role-based parties. And so if we have a countersigner, for example, and it can be processed by a series of people or even just an individual, because it's really just going to be a group, you can pick which the different groups will play that countersigner role. And so when that role is activated on a transaction, it'll appear in that person's to-do list, and or you could actually have sent them an email as well. When you've got all your documents built up, you then go in and you package them. And to package a document really just means that you select the documents that you want to be inside your package. You can just drag them in. You can change the order of the documents as to how they're going to be presented. If I don't want that document in, I just drag it back out and it comes out. Same thing with the parties. Now in my case, I had a sender party and he had to be logged in. Notice that he didn't go to the disclosure page. He just went straight to his first document, and that's just because we can pick whether he goes to the disclosures or the first document that he's got to do. When we take a look at the recipient, you'll see that the recipient, we actually do land on the disclosure page because of course we want to give them the eSign disclosures. I'm also able to set up things like the re-notification time. So if he hasn't picked up or responded to that email, in this case after 3 days or 1 week, he'll get another email basically inviting him in. So once your packages are done, you'll go into the transaction templates where you can actually make basically a runnable instance of it. So in this case you can specify retentions both for test transactions as well as production. You pick which package you want to use, and you pick a branding library. Again, when you set up a transaction, you specify who can start them, cancel them, suspend, resume, etc. these transactions. And so if you had different companies using it, you would make one for each of those companies and put their users groups as the people who can actually do those transactions. And I think that you will see that this is a very easy to use platform, becomes very easy to program and make changes to it. When things aren't the way you want them, you just simply have to go back in, edit your document. When they're all ready and everything looks good and you're saying to yourself, hey, that's a perfectly good document, you just put it into production, and then that document now will become in use anytime you're doing it. So thank you very much for your time, and we hope that you enjoy programming on our platform.